car racing in the country. You go to any weekly program in Pennsylvania, if Lance is there, chances are pretty good he might be the guy standing with the trophy at the end of the night. He's moving on to the B, so are we when we come back live to Knoxville.
Dearline.
Tomorrow on Speed, only one crew knows how to get NASCAR fans fired up. Only one show can prepare you for this big of a race. Jumpstart Watkins Glen with NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. Live tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. And I know a lot of the folks sitting around the Watkins Glen racetrack tonight are racetracks all over the country watching our Knoxville Raceway broadcast. I know Tony Stewart and Casey Kane tuned in tonight since they've got cars already into tonight's AMA. Well, we are at the fairgrounds. Not surprised you'd see that. The Knoxville Raceway sits here on the Marion County Fairgrounds in Knoxville, Iowa. Dave Argabright.
Well, Ralph, the Titan car, Darren Pittman, promising young driver from Oklahoma. You start 18th here in the B. You've got a long way to go to those 4 transfers. Do you have to have some breaks to make it into tonight's AMA?
I just need some yellows. I mean, you can ask Brad or any of the guys up top. We start in the back every night and have the charges up front, so it's not impossible, but definitely need some yellows to help bunch up the field and give us a shot to get a few on the restarts.
Even as of a few seconds ago, he's barking instructions to his crew chief on how to tweak that car for this racetrack.
Well, Darren Pittman getting ready for the B, but we saw a lot of smoke pouring out of the 19 car of Stevie Smith, who is already in the A main tonight. Tony, what are they saying about that car?
Break. Stevie Smith thinks he's gotten a break. Perhaps maybe they just put a little too much oil in the car, and what happened is when the engine's not up to temperature, it tends to blow oil out of this breather. So they're not too worried about it. They're cleaning up the oil off the car. They feel like that was the problem in hot laps.
Well, what'll happen also, these cars run methanol alcohol, and when the engine's not up to temperature, some of that fuel will actually get past the rings and get in the cylinders, fill the crankcase with some fuel, get in the oil, so that pushes the oil out over the overflow too. Once the engine gets up to temperature and that oil level drops down, you'll see that smoke go away, but they've got a chance to at least wipe that car off.
How long does it take to get one of these 750, 800 horsepower engines up to temperature?
A lot of them have what's called a preheater. They can plug the engine into basically like a portable radiator system that gets the temperature up. But if they don't have that, it takes 4 or 5 laps of idling around out there. They'll lean the fuel down to get them up to temperature. They like to run these things anywhere from 200 to 210 degrees while they're racing.
And that's a good look as you see Stevie Smith's car, just how bare bones these race cars are. And a lot of that weight that we talked about earlier is that big horsepower engine. And you can see the engine shrouds and the body panels around the car really just paper thin.
Yep, well, with a 1,200 pound race car, and that engine's about 350 pounds probably, you know, of that 1,200 pounds. So, you know, as you said, the engine is a lot of weight of these race cars.
The other big chunk of weight comes at the very tail end of the car, and that's the gas tank or fuel tank.
Yep, right there where you see the 19, that's all fuel. You see them putting fuel in the car right now. They do have a big rubber bladder in there for safety in case they back the car in or, you know, get into a crash. It keeps from tearing that open and rupturing, putting fuel on. But again, that's all fuel back there, and that can really determine how the car handles. So they have to be, when they start the race, they fill this thing full of fuel. The car's going to react different than, say, halfway through the race. That fuel starts to get out. The back of the car starts to raise up on the suspension, so it changes the handling of the race car, and the driver has to be aware of that, and they have to adjust for that. And everybody knows the last lap's what pays all the money, so they try to keep that car fast toward the end of the race.
The other thing you see there is a difference in size between that big right rear tire and the left side tire too on the back end of the car, and that's a lot of what helps make that car roll around the racetrack here.
Well, it's called stagger. A lot of people that go over to Dingus's know what that means. The local tavern next door, but stagger means...
Well done, Doty. Good job.
Stagger means a smaller left rear tire, and I always use this example. If you take a paper cup and you lay it down and you roll it, the cup will turn toward the small end of the cup. That's why they run stagger. The rear axle in these cars is a solid rear axle locked, so there's no slippage on the left rear wheel, so they use that stagger to help get the car through the corner.
Well, a little while ago, we met his new for 2008 teammate. That was Dony Shatz. Let's meet the other half of next year's Tony Stewart Racing team. Here's Dave Argabright.
Well, Paul McMahon, we like to call him McMahon just for a joke here. But, Paul, you've got a front row starting spot. Excellent opportunity here at the Knoxville Nationals. What goes through your mind now as you prepare for this race, the biggest race of the year?
Well, right now I'm just trying to stay as calm as possible, not think about the Knoxville Nationals. I just want to think it was another 30 laps at all, you know, that I do every week, and you know, try not to make mistakes. You know, I got the Bass Pro Shop Chevy car right where I need it, and you know, that was a lot of hard work by Jimmy Carr and Steve Swindell and Mikey Kemper to give me in that spot, give me a race car to be in this position. Now they're going to give me the best race car they can for the main event, and I'm going to do the best I can, and hopefully take home a victory tonight. I mean, that'd mean more than anything.
You had a practice session a moment ago. What did you see on the racetrack that helped you prepare your car for this race?
Well, I mean, the racetrack's starting to widen out some right now. It's still got a little bit of a bottom lane there. I don't know how long that's going to be there. So I got a good starting spot outside the front row. We'll get her up on the cushion and see what happens.
See what happens indeed. Let's go to Tony Bachhoven.
Well, Justin Henderson, the first thing you had to do tonight was you had to transfer out of the C main. You ran second. Now, can you make the march through the B?
Yeah, I think we can. We're pretty fortunate to get the Jolt Energy Gum Fathead Sunglasses rocket up into the transfer spot. Unfortunately, it was due to Mark Dottmeyer's misfortune, but I hope he's okay. The track was pretty hard to pass on. Once we got strung out, it was hard to gain any ground on anybody, but when everything gets stacked up in the B, I think we can gain some positions.
If the track's hard to pass on, you've got a long ways to go. Is there enough laps for you to get up into a transfer position?
18 laps is a lot more laps than an average B main, so I hope it's enough, but it's still not a bunch of laps to pass 20 race cars, so I hope we can get her done and make the team proud.
You know, Brad, we were talking with Paul McMahon there. I spoke with Tony Stewart earlier today, and I asked him if he was going to watch the broadcast. He said, absolutely. He said, I can see so much of what's going on with the racetrack from TV that Jimmy Carr, the crew chief for Paul McMahon, and I will be on the phone all night tonight as I tell them about what's going on with the track. What do you see with the racetrack? How's it coming along as we get ready for the B now?
Well, you heard Steve Kinser in his interview earlier talking about he needed the track to widen out, which means at that time the groove was down too low on the racetrack, and it is starting to widen out. The guys in the back, they want the track to be slick, to be really wide where they can maneuver all over the racetrack. If it's too narrow, if that groove on the top is too far down on the racetrack, obviously it's not wide enough to run too wide, and it's harder to pass. So, but the racetrack is widening out.
All right, Smoke, there's some good wide shots. Get on the cell phone. Not just clean, super clean. Factory value parts, made to factory specs, price to yours. We're coming back live to Knoxville for more of the Nationals right after this. It is the biggest sprint car race of the year, the 47th annual Super Clean Knoxville Nationals. And the drivers will tell you they just want to be on the billboards and the t-shirts when it's all done, listed as a Knoxville Nationals champion. And that's a tough thing to do, Tony Bachhoven.
Well, the guy I'm standing with now, Jack Hodenschild, won't find himself on the A-Main lineup t-shirt tonight. Jack, you've got to be very disappointed.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, the Rick Wright car's been running good all year, and, you know, we didn't make it through our heat race the first night, so it kind of put us behind and didn't make it through the C main. But you know, the Maxim car's been running good, and the guys worked real hard to get it all painted up. And you know, we'll just come back next year and try again.
How much does starting in the Knoxville Nationals mean to a driver?
Well, it means a lot. You know, it's the biggest race of the year, and it's you know, a race you need to run up front in, and you know, it ain't. We're not going to be able to do it this year.
The Wild Child says he'll be back to Knoxville.
34 years he's been climbing in and out of sprint cars, over 350 career wins in race cars, and not a Knoxville Nationals championship.
Well, so disappointing for any driver, I'll tell you. That's just such an empty feeling to have to sit and watch everybody else.
The B main for tonight. Again, 4 drivers out of this race will fill out the field for the 24 that will get to race for the $150,000 first place prize and that huge 5.5-foot tall trophy. And starting on the front row, Randy Hannigan, Chad Kemmenaugh, 2 drivers who know very well what it means to make the A-Main here.
They sure do, and you know, just look at the names in there, and of course our transfer cars there, Deweese and Henderson, but this could be an A-Main anywhere in the world, literally, and boy, this is going to be tough for the guys in the back.
Now the B main will comprise of 22 cars for 22 laps, and again, 4 cars making it on to the A main. 112 drivers showed up. We're looking for 4 more for our 24-car A main.
And I can't say it enough, Ralph. The drivers will make more desperate moves, more wild moves here at this race for this event to get into this main event than they will anywhere else. And the starts are critical before the cars get strung out going into turn 1. Guys, half of them maybe just close one eye and go for it.
These drivers know your entire career, your legacy as a driver can be made in that A main here tonight. And if you want a shot, you've got to get out of this B main, or you just go